For Asia, it's looking pretty mixed. You have the Nikkei markets, which are doing perhaps the best right now.
Congress raised the debt ceiling so that we're not in a position of defaulting.
Things looked quite good, at least on the Nifty. Actually, on all the benchmark indices, it looked pretty good.
If you look at the Nifty chart going back 9 months, we've essentially been trapped in a 9% wide trading range.
Strong set, and it was a big margin expansion that we saw for the company, which was driven by price hikes.
Here is the first tick on the index, consolidating after its gains from yesterday. The Nifty up about 30-odd points.
Banks have recovered from their lows in the last 30-45 days.
Definitely, we are confident that we can achieve that our credit growth a minimum of 12 to 14%.
Grey market premium was running at about 140 rupees, but this is a much better start.
Results of corporate earnings are still being led by 2 or 3 sectors.
Nifty and the Sensex building on yesterday's rally. The Nifty comfortably now above that 18,300 mark.
This is the first quarter of the 4 quarters where actually rural and semi-urban has grown faster.
The markets are virtually at the day's low. We have come off around 65 points from the highs of the day.
Well, that was a day so far, but the day ahead is looking a little different, isn't it? You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Closing Bell. We're coming to you live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal studios. I'm Prashant with me, my colleagues Rima and Surabhi here in the studios. And of course, Nigel is joining us from the newsroom floor. Guys, hi. Good afternoon. Things are looking a little more subdued as compared to even 2 hours back. And most of the gains are off the table. I mean, we were up about 60 points and we are not. We are absolutely flat, blinking red and green. So it's been a fair bit of drop-off which has happened. 18,344, nothing dramatic, but not in a knee-jerk fashion, but the drop started at about 11:30, 12-ish, and then it has continued all the way into the last hour or so of trade. Lots of action, though, in financials still. And, actually, if you look at stuff which is moving the market down, it is financials. I mean, in SBI and Bajaj Finance, if you look at what is helping the market on the upside, it is also financials. I mean, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, etc. The biggest contributors on both sides, on the gainers and the losers side for indices, are financials. Market breadth has also come off. The NSE advanced decline ratio, it was comfortably 2.5:1, is now, I mean, the last I checked, 1:1. And, is this correction, pullback ahead of the Karnataka voting tomorrow? That's something which I think we'll have to wait and watch. The exit polls, as always, will happen once the polling ends. That's starting about 5:30 tomorrow evening. You'll have a first glimpse at how voters in Karnataka have voted. So, I mean, usually you do see some nervousness around large elections which are particularly close. At least that's the projection as of now. But that's near term, very, very near term. But it could be the fact that going into tomorrow and going into the election, the exit polls tomorrow, the market is a bit nervous, wants to keep it a bit light, and the markets come off a little bit. The high today is 18,344. So in the very near term, whenever the market reverses, that becomes the first port of call, beyond which 18,450 is the big level, which is the 78.6% retracement of the entire fall from the all-time high to the March lows. Rima, hi.
Hi, and we also need to take cognizance of the fact that the global markets were subdued today. Hang Seng ended with a gain of more than 2%. The Chinese markets were down 1% by the close of trade. In Europe right now, the CAC is down 0.6%. The DAX and the FTSE also lower by close to about 0.25 percentage point. The Dow futures is down more than about 100 points. So that, in a way, explains why we've seen the weakness, particularly in the second half of the trading session. PSU banks, the Nifty PSU banking index is taken in on the chin. The Nifty PSU banking index is down 2.5%, falling for the third consecutive day now. SBI's hit, Canara Bank under pressure. PNB is lost close to about 3%. Union Bank is weak in trade. A couple of bright spots include the mid-cap IT names. So First Source and Birlasoft. Birlasoft numbers were good, but look at the reaction in the stock. It's up close to about 8% Tata Communications, F&O name, big move seen in the stock right now. Earnings are already out, so I'm not sure what's driving the gain there, but Tata Communications has rallied in pretty good volumes, and Apollo Tyres has seen a near 10% rally since the beginning of the month. So far, the numbers from SIAD, MRF have all been very strong, and today Apollo Tyres reports numbers, and all eyes will be on that.
Oh, absolutely. You guys have mentioned the large cap picture and the global picture. Just want to mention the dollar also. There's, in general, some risk off that's kind of crept back into global markets. We'll get more on the inflation numbers from the US later this week. But for the time being, even the dollar index is pretty much at the highs of the day at 101.5 thereabouts. There's some amount of risk off in the international markets as well. Here for us also, what changed very quickly is the mid-cap picture. We were having a stellar session, the mid-caps that is, till about 12:30, and then everything kind of has changed. So a lot of the high flyers that have seen big gains in the last few weeks, that's where the money's coming off. Your railway stocks, for instance, your RVNL, IRFC, these are stocks that are on the downside move. And Zomato is a very interesting one. All through the day, today, yesterday, you've been hearing us discuss this, the possibility of ONDC coming out and really disrupting the food delivery space. And it seems, some of this debate, it's making its way to the stock because that's Zomato with a 5% cut now as we speak. So interesting moves, quite a few on the downside as well. But having said that, I mean, you still have the odd names like a Sula, Lux Industries, for instance, Varun Beverages. These are some of the other consumer names that have managed a decent day. So, Nigel, pretty mixed picture. And it seems that, some tempering of the enthusiasm has happened today.
Well, that's right. The Nifty, went to the high of around 18,350 and faced some resistance out there. But I'll tell you what, for the final 60 minutes, you have to keep your eye on the Nifty Financial Services Index. That's because the weekly expiry plays out here. It tried to make a bit of an up move, but that was met with some bit of resistance. And remember, the Financial Services Index, it has components. 25% is on HDFC. So, that is a stock you'll have to keep an eye out on. The Bajaj twins as well are part of that. You'll have Chola Finance as well. But for the time being, at least, on the Nifty Financial Services Index, the options data, there's aggressive call writing. Those call writers, they are not factoring in a close above this 19,400 mark whatsoever. The 52-week high is at around 19,500 odd. If some way the bulls can get above that 19,400 odd mark, we could see a big rebound. Because positioning as of now is that level will hold out, going by the call writing that we have seen. So the question for the final 55-60 minutes is, will the call writers go home with the gains or will they get trapped on the wrong side? Remember, we had an expiry that played out on the Nifty a few days ago where the call writers got stuck on the wrong side. I'm not saying that will happen yet again, but that's an important mark you need to, track because the call writing has been very, very aggressive on the Nifty Financial Services Index. So let's see how this goes. But that's the index you need to keep an eye on. For the time being, it's mildly higher as well. You pull up the intraday chart, it tried to move high earlier, then it moved into the red, and now it's seeing a bit of a rebound as well. So that's a crucial index.
All right. We'll keep an eye, Nigel. Well, how should you position yourself, though, in the last hour now in terms of taking fresh trades? Mitesh is with us. Mitesh, afternoon. Good to have you back on the program. Some of the early gains disappearing, 10 points, 14 points now on the Nifty, 18,280 or so. On the index, is there a trade? And stock specific, what would you want to do? Okay, I think we lost that line with Mitesh. We'll try and have him back in just a bit from now. Okay, Mitesh is back, I'm being told. Mitesh, I don't know if you heard my question, but on the index, is there a trade? And on specific stocks, any fresh calls?
Yeah, Prashant, index, actually, the overall